for Brian Daboll, whom they fired on Monday. Six-time Super Bowl champion and now North Carolina head coach Bill Belichick, who famously once said, "We're on to Cincinnati," was asked about the opening yesterday.
When you got here, you said you're not coming here to leave, but as soon as the Giants job came open yesterday, your name got thrown out there. I'm sure it will with other NFL jobs. What is your message to players, to recruits? I'm sure people are asking you about that who want to come to the program.
Yeah, getting ready for Wake Forest. That's all I got this week.
Has anyone asked you, or the players or recruits want to know about your future?
I mean, I've been asked about it from time to time, but yeah, look, I've been down this road before. I'm focused on Wake Forest. That's it. And that's my commitment to this team. And next week it'll be to our next opponent and so forth. But, I'm here to do the best I can for this team.
Two things. One, a reminder for anyone who needs one. Belichick has a long history with the Giants. There's a reason this comes up. He started his career there. He has maintained a very close relationship with a lot of people there, particularly in ownership. Second of all, that was the first time in the longest I can remember that he reminded me of Bill Belichick. When the question is longer than the answer, we're finally listening to Bill Belichick talking. That's the Bill Belichick you want to hear. And the truth is, if this had happened a year ago, or if Bill hadn't gone back into coaching and was still doing McAfee and all kinds of stuff and showing you how great he was with X's and O's, I think he would be at the top of everyone's conversation about this job, and now I don't think it will even be a consideration.
Yeah, I think, look, and that's because of all the other things that are surrounding him right now and all the other things that are distracting people away from what is actually his core competency, which is coaching high-level football, which is really what the NFL is all about. But see, you know what? We also know it's about image, and right now, you're right. There's going to be a lot of people who go, I don't even see the coach.
Right.
I see all the other things that are surrounding you right now. I see all the other people that are surrounding you right now. And so, look, I think, look, it's probably safe to say that his time has passed in the NFL, that the NFL is on to bigger and, I don't want to say better, but to bigger and different and newer things. I don't even think it'll be a consideration at this point, quite honestly.
The NFL spoke 2 years ago when one team interviewed him.
Right.
It was the Atlanta Falcons, and they chose Raheem Morris over him. Then last year, I think it was an image rehabilitation quite a bit on television. Everyone goes to North Carolina. Remember, he hates the Jets, and he had people reach out to the Jets to see if they would give him an interview last year, and they weren't interested. So I look at it as he's going to obviously be interested in the Giants, whether he says this or not. I would think the history is enough. If any team would be warm to be them. But I don't think the Maras and the Tisches are looking for the circus that it's become.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, and I think it was clear in his answer that he is not opposed to it. Like, he was not direct about this at all. He did his cutesy thing on the Wake Forest. We had it on in Cincinnati. It kind of felt like Bill Belichick was doing a Bill Belichick impersonation. Right. Because we know that he's no longer, he doesn't seem like that same person that he once was. But it seems like, to Peter's point, and the same thing that Lewis said, the league is not, like, he's going to have to put together a year or two of stability and success at Jeff's alma mater before the NFL comes and knocks at his door.
Everything we knew Belichick to be was a guy who was anti-distraction. It's about, do your job. And now that we've seen him over the last year or so, especially at UNC, sort of the kind of, I don't want to call it a circus, but everything around him, whether it be 60 Minutes interviews and stuff like that, it just, all these reports, it just is a lot. And it takes away from the core principles of who he is as a football coach. But listen, the league is going on. Like, they want, who's the next young guy out there? That's what they want.
Yeah, I mean, what Kim, I agree. What Kim is saying is the number one thing that everyone revered him for, which was that absolute just like robotic approach to and commitment to winning. Now that's kind of all been like washed away. And now he doesn't have that to fall back on. And now teams are going, so what's the attraction?
Right.
It's been an interesting year, to say the very least. As we continue, Adam Schefter and Jordan Renan are reporting the Giants are expected to start Jameis Winston on Sunday against the Packers rather than Russell Wilson. Bear in mind, Jackson Dart suffered a concussion in the second half of Sunday's loss to the Bears. He is still listed as their first-string quarterback, but Jameis Winston has supplanted Russell Wilson in second string, and assuming, and I think it's a reasonable assumption, that Dart is not able to play this weekend, it's going to be Jameis Winston starting rather than Russell Wilson. And we thought this was worth mentioning briefly here for the following reason. Not so much for the impact that it will have on the game. But I remember you and I having a conversation towards the end of Russell Wilson's time in Seattle. in which we discussed that it looked like when Peyton Manning and Tom Brady were going to be sort of going into retirement, that the league was going to become Russell's league. And it never happened. Nope. All these young guys came and supplanted him. Now we had what can only be described as a disastrous tenure in Denver, a bad little stint, certainly nothing special in Pittsburgh, and now this whole thing in the Giants. How, if at all, do we think that that is going to impact the way we remember Russell Wilson and potentially even his chances of getting into the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it certainly impacts it. Quarterback winning a Super Bowl and getting to another Super Bowl, I still think he has a good chance and having some really impressive seasons. But I think we're going to remember the end of his career because it's been a long, kind of ugly process for him. We're going to remember this as a big portion of his career. I think it's going to be very difficult. With time, maybe some of that stuff will erode and we'll think back to him being that young quarterback who kind of was at the beginning of changing the way that rosters were constructed. Like, he was a pivotal quarterback in the development of the league, but I do think that these last several years are going to be like how we think of him as a player. Is like how it ended is going to be more important than the success that he had.
I was an alternate voter for the Hall of Fame, no longer am. I would say bragging. In that room, hey Flex, in that room, alternate voter. In that room though, it's going to be voters who decide they're going to present, can you write the history of the NFL without this player? I don't know if you can or you can't with Russ. I will say this, he had 9 Pro Bowls in 10 years and went to 2 Super Bowls and was a Walter Payton Man of the Year for many years in Seattle. If he had retired as a Seattle Seahawk, I think we probably would have said he's a shoo-in for the Hall of Fame.
Correct.
I don't know if we hold these last few years against him.
That's a well-made point. And obviously, that if they give the ball to Marshawn Lynch at the end of that Super Bowl, he's a 2-time Super Bowl champ.
And maybe 3 times and 4 times, and we're talking about a different situation altogether.
What gets me is, remember not that long ago, he threw for 450 yards.
Against
We're
the
like,
Cowboys.
I thought Russ is cooking.
Right.
Let Russ cook. It's crazy how quickly things change. I really thought he had recaptured something, and then it felt like fool's gold after a while.
Yeah, look, I mean, it's a shame. Russ is always going to be equated, obviously, to the Legion of Boom, and there's going to be many people who use the defensive prowess of those football teams against him as well to kind of make an argument against him. Look, he's been the consummate professional. It rarely does end the way you want it to. It really does end at a high. I think for Russ, I think we're doing him a disservice if we continue to just point to some of the issues that he's had at Denver, at Pittsburgh, and now at the Giants, and not really kind of celebrate this man for the career he had in Seattle, which I remember when he came out of Wisconsin.
Yep.
I remember just how good this guy was and how he did change the paradigm of how you build football teams in the NFL.
It's interesting to see if he has taken